Hey guys, Frank with Tithely, joining you today for another episode of Modern Church Leader, and super excited talking with a buddy today who leads a campus ministry or a college ministry out in the middle of nowhere, I think, but he'll tell us more. But we're just going to talk about, how it's been reaching college students, what it looks like to do ministry in a campus during COVID and kind of that transition for him. So super excited. If you're new to the channel, definitely subscribe. We're interviewing church leaders and pastors and just all kinds of church leadership kind of during the COVID season. And even as we're coming out of COVID season, just trying to share best practices, lessons learned, stories from the trenches, and kind of bring together this community of church leaders. So subscribe to the show, give us a like if you're on Facebook, or comment, share with a friend, just help us spread the word. So without further ado, let me bring in Nate Leo. Nate, how's it going?
Hey, Frank. It's going pretty well.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah, you too, man.
I guess we should start off with congratulations for all those watching. Nate just got married. So there it is. And we were talking before the show, all of us with rings, for whatever reason, it's the best fidget spinner on the planet. Like, it's always right there. And we just play with the ring all the time.
It's great. It's great. The skin underneath my ring finger is raw right now because I'm twisting it.
Yeah, absolutely. Have you taken it off at all yet, is the question.
I have. Well, actually, funny story. It's actually cracked. On the second day, it cracked. So we actually ordered a new one. Second day of the honeymoon, and it's like it has a crack right down the middle.
You have to stop banging on the table or whatever. What are you doing to crack your ring?
I know. I don't really know what happened, but yeah, it's cool. It's fun. It's fun to twist around and have fun with.
Yeah. Well, congratulations from me and the wife. It's pretty cool. And your wife actually works at Tithely, so shout out to Heather, who I'm sure is watching right now.
She's a rock star.
So Nate, why don't you tell everybody who's watching and will watch this in the future a little bit about the church you serve at, how you got into ministry, kind of what your job in the ministry is today.
Yeah, for sure. So I work for Rise Church out in Indianapolis, Indiana. You're right, Frank. It is in the middle of nowhere. But no,
Indy's not quite in the middle of nowhere, but like where you're at, I was like, I think it's
right. So I am not in Indianapolis. So I minister to our campus, our church's campus ministry at Indiana University in Bloomington, which is about like an hour and a half or an hour and 15 south of Indianapolis. Beautiful place, really beautiful place, but really vibrant college town, college atmosphere, really fun. But yeah, so I'm down here in Bloomington, Indiana. I decided to step into the ministry when I was in college. Actually, I graduated not too long ago, back in 2018. And I graduated from Indiana University, but when I was early on in college, around my freshman year, it was really when I started to take my faith seriously, and I got plugged into the campus ministry that I lead right now. But back when I was a freshman, and as the years in college got farther on, and I started to dig deeper, I started to kind of realize that I really wanted to make this my career of ministering to college students or to people who desperately need closeness to God. And so that's where I am right now. My wife is down here with me in Bloomington. But it's been a really fun ride so far.
Yeah. And so how long has that been? How long have you been serving in the campus ministry and in full-time ministry?
Yeah. So right after I graduated, I moved up to Indianapolis to be in a full-time internship position. So just like training under the campus ministers up in Indianapolis. And then so 2018, 2019, that was that school year. And then the next school year I moved to Muncie, Indiana, which is another in the middle of nowhere place, but that's where Ball State University is.
Got it.
And so our church, we decided to plant a campus ministry out there. And so I moved out to Ball State University, up to Muncie, and that was last school year. And then over the summer, moved down here to Bloomington. So I'd say I've been in the full-time ministry. I'm in the middle of my third year in the full-time ministry.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, let's kind of jump in. I feel like going into ministry in a kind of a college town, doing campus ministry is super cool. I mean, I became a Christian in a college ministry at San Diego State University in San Diego, obviously. A super fun time of life, but that was not during COVID. That was when school was normal.
Right.
I lived in the dorms, and we had big, group Bible discussions and things like that on campus. So like now it's all different. So what's it been like, this year during COVID with, trying to reach college students?
Oh, it's so different. It's so different. Yeah. I became a Christian in college when this was not normal, what we're doing right now. But yeah, it's just different. The primary way that we as a college ministry connect with people is through face-to-face contact. So whether it's like if it's playing like pickup basketball on campus or something, or doing like a Bible talk discussion in one of the dorms, or just personal one-on-one Bible studies. Like traditionally that's all been face-to-face, like you said, like at a coffee shop or like in someone's dorm, but that's almost off limits now. And so, yeah, it's incredibly different. We're utilizing Zoom a lot. We're utilizing our Instagram page a lot more. We're digitizing the college ministry sphere. And I don't think it's something that anybody's cracked quite yet, like how to like kind of just push through and be really comfortable with it. I don't know if anybody's cracked the code yet, but I know that there are thousands of college ministries, thousands of churches that are trying to do the same thing. We're all working towards the same goal. But it is very different. We're kind of missing out on that face-to-face interaction.
What's it been like in that community? And I know you're just kind of moved into that area, but are people like, how has COVID hit that area? And are people like fed up with like staying inside and social distancing and masks and all? Like, what's the vibe like over there? And I guess I'm sort of asking that with the like leading towards how are the college students reacting to it? Like, because some areas, I don't know, they might just be like, forget about it. And they're still playing about, like, maybe you can't do things on campus,
right? Because
the school has to, follow the rules, but like the community is still open and you can do things outside of campus.
Yeah, it's definitely so like I went to school here at IU, and it's a very energetic and vibrant community. Even Bloomington is like the ideal college town, and so like a lot of the just the things that people do are very, very energetic, very fun, very outdoorsy. But yeah, it's definitely been, there are people who just don't really care, about anything. Like people not wearing masks don't really care that much, or wherever they're coming from with that. There are people who are the ultra, like I'm not touching anybody or doing anything at all. But I'd say mostly people fall within those two extremes here. The county that Bloomington is in, that we're in right now, actually put a 15-person max capacity limit on all gatherings, public and private.
Wow, so it's pretty locked down.
Yes, it is very locked down. So we're trying to be respectful of the rules. We're also trying to not let things inhibit our worship. But that's really aimed towards, like IU is a huge party school. Fraternities, sororities, Greek life is just massive here. I think a third of all students at IU are affiliated with Greek life. And so yeah, they're definitely, people who are like partying and doing stuff and just not really following any sort of guidelines.
Right.
there's no lockdown here. It's like you can go out and do things, but I think the intensity of people's like just concern has kind of like dwindled a little bit, or kind of like dimmed a little bit. And so really, if you're wearing your mask and you're not, touching people, or you're not getting really close to people or coughing in people's faces, and that's kind of the attitude here.
Are like things open, restaurants, coffee shops, like you go to a restaurant and actually eat? So, okay.
Yeah, things are very open here. So, which I don't know what it's like over where you are, or where it is elsewhere in the country, but everything is basically open.
Yeah. Yeah. So you still can kind of meet in person and do it in, I guess, smaller gatherings and get out. So, well, what's different for you? Like, what are you trying differently? Like, are you trying to do Bible studies on Zoom, or are you trying to, I don't know, find different ways to connect digitally? Like, what have you tried? What's working? What's not working? What's frustrating? Just talk to me about kind of that side of all this.
Yeah, well, this whole thing is frustrating. This whole COVID thing is frustrating. So there's that. But yeah, we are doing a lot of stuff on Zoom. We're doing our campus Bible talk discussions all on Zoom.
Why would you do it on Zoom? Just to interject, if things are kind of open and you can be in groups of less than 15 and go to a park or something like that, why would you do that versus meet on Zoom?
Yeah, so a couple of factors. Really great question. A couple of factors. So one, our focus, we just strive to be on campus, like at all times, like do everything on campus, whether in the dorms or just in an open area on campus. But IU has a lot of hoops that you have to jump through you would have to classify it as an event, a campus event. And there are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through. You have to like let the university know like 3 weeks beforehand, every single time, and they still have to approve it and all these things. And so we figured that if we could do it off campus, but a lot of the people who we interact with don't really have cars, or it'd just be a little bit more inconvenient to go somewhere else. And so we're doing a lot of stuff. We're doing our Bible talk discussions, our like group discussions on Zoom, but we're still actually doing our, one-on-one or two-on-one Bible studies in person, whether that's outside at like a table on campus, or in somebody's dorm. I know that there are other universities that have totally restricted all non-students from stepping foot on campus. IU is really big. It's almost 50,000 students, undergrad and grad students. And so it's a little harder for IU to do than some other smaller schools.
How would you? Well, how has the Zoom Bible discussions gone? Like, how do you make those? Take us down the journey of putting those on, what they've been like, and what you've learned about like how to run them well. Because I think it takes a skill to run any kind of group discussion anyways, but then you throw in the digital environment where everybody's like 2D.
Yeah.
You can't like eat a meal together, right? It creates a whole different. So what have you been doing, and what's kind of helping it go well?
Yeah. So we've tried everything on Zoom at this point. It's like, why not just try like eating, just like hanging out together on Zoom, which is beneficial, but specifically for the Bible talk discussions, it's, like you're on like the situation happens to, I'm pretty sure, everybody, where you've been on a Zoom call and someone's asked a question, and then you've started to answer, and then you hear another person answer, and so you both stop, but you don't know who it is, and so you wait, and then you talk again, and they talk at the same time, and you're like trying to figure out. And so there's that piece. And as a discussion leader, naturally what I want to do is I want to kind of like add a little comment to everybody's answer. But like with Zoom, there's a lot more uncomfortable silence.
Yeah.
Because like you ask a challenging question, and you got to give people time to think. But on Zoom, for some reason, the emptiness is just way more awkward, and it feels like time goes so much slower. So you feel like you're like
Right.
Let me ask it a different way when people might just be thinking. And so what I found is on Zoom, giving people enough time to think and answer a question. And for me, myself, not to interject as much as I normally would if it were like an in-person discussion. I've also found that like discussion is much more streamlined on Zoom or like in online discussions. And so a lot of our Bible talk discussions don't actually last as long as they would, because I really don't. I think people are a little, it might not sound right, but I think people are a little bit more focused sitting in front of the computer screen. And so we do try and do as much stuff in person as we can while still respecting the guidelines. But yeah, Zoom fatigue is real.
How do you get people to engage? So you're in a Zoom discussion, maybe some people don't know each other. Like, how do you get the whole group to kind of participate?
Yeah.
Have some fun, like, break the ice, have a little bit of fun, and yeah, just make it a good time.
Yeah. So I've found that just calling on people helps a lot. I have also, so something that we do like, a lot of times in our Bible talk discussions, we'll have the same people come regularly. Every week we might have one or two new faces that show up. And so generally speaking, everybody knows each other, at least to like, I know your name, I know a little bit about who you are, but in those times where there might be a new face or a first time visitor, a lot of times we'll just try and conduct it as efficiently as we can, like just going around and saying your name and asking, a fun question about yourself, something pretty general and basic. But with the discussion specifically, I have found that when people are silent in like a discussion setting, it's not always because they just don't want to answer, or they're just lazy, or they're just not connecting with it. A lot of times it's because they're thinking. And sometimes people can get intimidated by answering. If one person sounds really smart or answers a lot, and this other person answers a lot too, and so if person A and person B are really dominating the discussion, person C might be like, well, they've said a lot, it doesn't really matter what I think.
Right.
So a lot of times all it takes is just saying, hey, person C, like, what do you think about that? So
like inviting them into the discussion.
Yeah, like engaging people specifically. Now, if you ask the same person like 5 times, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think? Then it's like, all right, that's a little overkill. But I found that works really well.
Have you done any good like icebreaker type things or games, like even outside of a discussion, like Zoom based like games or activities that have worked well for like bonding people?
Yeah, so I'm not great at that kind of stuff. So I delegate that a lot to my awesome co-leader Perry Smith. She's really awesome. She's super creative with that stuff. So I'll delegate that to her a lot. But some of the things that we've done that have been really great is we've done speed fellowship before, where we'll set up rooms of 2 people and give them like 60 seconds. We'll give them like a question prompt and give them 60 seconds to answer that.
Okay.
Then 60 seconds will be up, and it'll throw them in another breakout room with a different person. And so it's like I'm looking at you one-on-one and I'm talking to you. So it kind of opens people up a little bit more, open up the discussion. We also have played like Kahoot, Drawful, like some of those kind of like interactive online games, which are really fun.
Right. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, because I'm thinking like you're kind of campus or college ministry, but lots of people are doing Zoom group discussions, Bible discussions, things like that. So just having fun is important, and it's so much harder in a Zoom setting to just kind of have fun.
Yeah.
Especially, I think even for people that work using video-based tools, like if that's part of how you work or even maybe how you go to school, it becomes this medium for like your professional stuff, then you want to go like have fun. It's like this weird, like, but I don't do that here. Like this is where I do my schoolwork and then I turn it off. And I, go over here to have fun. So creating these fun, interactive, moments, I think is pretty important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. What are you trying, or what are you thinking about trying, like, as we move forward, right? COVID's going to be around for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Schools are probably going to stay restricted in different formats for a while. Are there things that you're like strategically thinking about or planning on or just brainstorming on, with respect to kind of reaching college students during COVID?
Yeah, one of the things that we've done that I've seen really great examples of, and things that we've tried to follow, is kind of like I said, digitizing like evangelism, or like sharing our faith and stuff like that. Utilizing the tools that, like I work with 18 to 22-year olds primarily. And so while I'm 25, while I'm not super far out of that age range or that generation, I found that I'm actually really behind on a lot of the communication, a lot of like the trends and stuff like that. Like one of the biggest ways that college students or the younger generation communicate is through Snapchat, which I had no idea up until about 2 months ago, where people don't like college. Like
I'm so old. I'm not on.
Well, I had Snapchat when it first came out, but I deleted it like in high school, or like early on in college or something.
Yeah.
But a lot of times people don't, like college students don't really utilize text the same way that we do, or that older people might have traditionally done it. And so people will Snapchat, they'll text through Snapchat. And so it's like, okay, well, if we want to meet the needs and meet people where they're at, then we've kind of got to get on the same level. I think it's a challenge to older church leaders, or older even just church members, of if we want to preach the gospel and reach everyone who we can, then we've kind of got to get out of our own way of thinking and kind of step into what the younger generations need, because that's how in my opinion, that's how the church is multi-generational. Is that attracting, maybe not attracting is the right word, but reaching out to these younger generations and saying, hey, like, this is for you too. This gospel, this message is for you as well. So I'm going to try and get it to you as best as I can.
Right. Yeah. So now you're on Snapchat, and how are you sorting it out? Are you figuring out how to use it? What are you doing there? Or what are you trying there in terms of connecting with folks?
Honestly, just
DMing them.
Yeah, that's really it. Honestly,
Really?
Like I don't really spend a whole lot of time on it. Almost everyone else who I interact with texts, but yeah, it kind of like steps into the Instagram realm as well, where people will DM each other all the time, and use Instagram as not just a consumption tool, but like as an interactive, as like a tool of communication,
right,
with people. So
love it, dude. Well, man, this has been good. Anything else that you're thinking about doing in the future, or are you just hoping and praying that COVID goes away so that you can get back on campus?
Yeah, that's definitely it. I'm just hoping it goes away, but I think it's inspiring that I think COVID has ushered in kind of called church leaders to kind of rethink how they've been doing things. Like, we're not going to abandon Zoom after COVID. Let's say we get a vaccine in like a couple months, and like there's no need for face masks or social distancing anymore. Like, we're not going to abandon Zoom. Like, we're not going to abandon being a little bit more digital. We're not going to abandon any of that, because I think God has showed churches how useful the digital age is in regard to sharing the gospel with people.
Right. You have any cool stories about, like, oh, we were able to get somebody to a discussion or into a Bible study or something, because of doing it digitally?
Nothing I can think of off the top of my head. I do run into a lot of people who like, I do meet a lot of college students who have like kind of grown up in like a traditional church setting. Like, you come and you sit and you leave. after an hour and a half of church, and then it's like you're on your merry way.
Right.
I have met a lot of people who are very surprised at how almost eager we are to incorporate the digital media or the digital realm,
Right.
into how we operate as a campus ministry. And our church has done an incredible, Rise Church Indy has done an incredible job of that as well. And so we for Tithely. So thank you very much, Frank. We we love you guys. Very, very grateful for how you guys have equipped us to do that.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I mean, I think it's a good point. Like college students and just younger generations, I think will be attracted to churches that are meeting where they're on Snapchat, or they're doing things digitally so they can kind of engage that way, that they may feel more comfortable today. Yeah. And then that will lead them into, fellowship in person and maybe coming to actual church one day. So it's a great way, an early way, right? People are doing things online. So if they can find you online, and maybe they can jump into a Zoom meeting online, and even have their cameras off, but like they're exploring, they're able to experience stuff, and then slowly get more connected is powerful. And probably what, like to your point, like after COVID, that's still going to exist. It's going to have to exist for just to keep thriving.
Yeah, the intention is always to, like, there's no substitute for in-person fellowship, for in-person interaction. Like there's no substitute. Like Zoom is great, and like streaming is great, but there's no substitute. I think the thing that really the thing that I really love is about our church is how there's just a great focus on college students. It's like a time of transition. It's like in college, like oftentimes it's like where alcohol abuse like starts. It's where like drug abuse starts, where mental health illnesses like start to really ramp up. Suicidal ideation is actually at its highest in college. And so I'm really grateful how COVID has actually empowered us as a campus ministry and campus ministries around the nation, around the world, to reach college students more directly, and even kind of in their own ballpark.
Right.
And it's something I'm incredibly grateful for. Obviously, I wish COVID would be gone, but it's something I'm incredibly grateful for God kind of opening that door.
Yeah. Amen to that. New opportunities for sure.
Hey,
this has been awesome, man. Thanks for coming on the show today.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Frank.
Yeah. Where can folks go to check out Rise Church?
So to check out Rise Church, you can go to a couple places. You can go to our Instagram page. It's just rise.indiana. Actually, hold on. I gotta check this out real quick. So our website
memorized.
Well, sometimes it's confusing to me. I'm not a great remember of things, but our website is riseindiana.church.
There you
go. You can go there, you can check out. We have sermons on there, we have photos on there, we have events on there and everything. And then our Instagram page is, I'm looking it up right now, it's just Rise Indiana.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
No problem.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us live. I know folks are watching live, and we'll also catch the recording. So make sure to show Nate some love. Go check out Rise Church, and we will see you guys all next week. Same time, same place.